So, you find yourself on the UnrealEntGaming channel. How fortunate for you. I, Lord Frieza, will spare your life as long as you subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, don't forget to become a member of UnrealEntGaming's Patreon for tons of exclusive content to early access media and much more. Do it now, or else.
So with our heroes now having to finally complete their mission after having to undergo their battle against Tamagami 2 within Demon Realm number 2, I want to hereby welcome you all to my Dragon Ball Daima anime episode number 12 review, the final Dragon Ball Daima episode of 2024, and boy, what an episode this was! Because not only did we go as far as to end off 2024 with a bang, but also getting something that I think many Dragon Ball fans never expected to ever see go down and made canon, and that is, of course, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Yes, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta is now finally canonized within Dragon Ball right now. But just slightly before we end off going into what transpired involving Vegeta and Tamagami number 2 later on, we instead end up jumping right into the events involving Majin Do versus Tamagami number 1 within Demon Realm number 1 instead, which that fight in and of itself had surprised me to begin with, because I really didn't think that Majin Do was going to end up defeating Tamagami number 1 the way he did. But yes, it turns out that Majin Do did in fact end up defeating Tamagami number 1 before the events of Vegeta having to defeat Tamagami number 2, and I think it was the way that Majin Do had gone as far as to actually defeat Tamagami number 1 that I really had a problem with, because Majin Do essentially ended up beating Tamagami number 1 due to a chocolate amp that was given to him, of course, by none other than Majin Ku, as it was really so silly to see the way Majin Do ended up beating Tamagami number 1, but I understand as to why the overall premise needed to be the way it was, because now that we're going to be entering into the new year, we really have to go as far as to bypass the Tamagamis and now having to enter into different territories. And so I will say that between the two Tamagami fights involving Tamagami number 1 and Tamagami number 2, to me for this episode, I do think that Tamagami number 2's fight was a little better, and it wasn't really mainly due to the fact of Vegeta obtaining Super Saiyan 3 versus the way Majin Do ended up beating Tamagami number 1, but I think that it was the way the Tamagami number 2 fight played off with Vegeta in the beginning by comparison to Tamagami number 1's battle was where I think the difference in contrast was really emphasized, because not only did we go as far as to see Tamagami number 2 really get an amp by the likes of Neba in going after Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, but it was really the way the Tamagami 2 fight ended up playing off that I really enjoyed that much more than Tamagami number 1's battle. But in the beginning of Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta's battle against Tamagami number 2, what I found to be very interesting was in fact actually seeing as to how Neba had fully powered up Tamagami number 2 to begin with, which Tamagami number 1 didn't really seem to have any sort of similar amp going up against Majin Do. So in contrast, when seeing as to how Majin Do was running away, at first kind of introducing this vulnerability to him where it almost kind of looked as though Tamagami number 1 was going to win against Majin Do, which I was actually hoping for, but instead, even after Tamagami number 1 was seemingly in control, just moments prior to Majin Do getting this massive chocolate amp, to which he went on to then let off gigantic mouth blasts that went on to put Tamagami down onto his knees, what I found to be interesting more than anything else was the problem-solving puzzles at the very end to get these demonic Dragon Balls, you know? Because it wasn't just with Tamagami number 1 and Tamagami number 2 simply having to lose, but it was more or less of having to see the Tamagamis introduce these questions or these kind of riddles and puzzles for our heroes to go on ahead and solve, which applied to both Vegeta and Majin Do through the assistance, mind you, of Majin Ku, who ultimately helped out Majin Do in having to solve his problem, whereas Vegeta didn't have anybody. The problem-solving skills for them to obtain the Dragon Balls was pretty cool, but I would say, again, the highlight for this episode, at least for me, and of course many other people, was seeing Vegeta finally obtain Super Saiyan 3, and it was the way he did it which is reflective to that of the late great Toriyama's original Super Super Saiyan 3 design that I felt was really cool. So just in case if people were wondering or kind of saying to themselves, oh, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta kind of looks like Beast Gohan, well, originally, way back in the day, 20 plus years ago, Toriyama had designed these sheets where it was representative of what Super Saiyan 3 Goku was supposed to look like, minus of course with that of the tail having to be included. This was supposed to be what Super Saiyan 3 had originally looked like in Dragon Ball Z. So to see Vegeta kind of obtain that, and with the way he was fighting by not having to use his hands much, except with the exception of like one time only at the end, I think it was really awesome to finally not only see Vegeta be canonized to have Super Saiyan 3 in the actual series, but he looked really cool in having to not only showcase and wield the form, but actually use its power against Tamagami number 2. It kind of went as far as to remind me a little bit of Vegito, because Vegeta really didn't go as far as to use his hands, but more or less was ping-ponging Tamagami number 2 around the ocean, which looked really awesome. But not only that, it was the reaction upon everyone having to see this, especially Goku, who was at first very surprised to see Vegeta go as far as to achieve this, ultimately came besides himself to be cheering him on, which I thought was really cool to see how Goku was really happy after seeing Vegeta do this, which only raises that many more questions to suggest and kind of ask if Vegeta chooses not to use this form as an adult, you know? Because since all of this takes place prior to the events of Dragon Ball Z's / Dragon Ball Super's Battle of Gods, then we know that all of the events involving Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, the meeting with Beerus really doesn't happen yet, which only more or less once again begs the question as to why Vegeta never ended up using such a kind of variant of this form against Beerus when he ended up slapping Bulma, you know? But of course, Dragon Ball Z / Dragon Ball Super Battle of Gods was conceived way before Dragon Ball Daima, so I'm pretty sure that they never had the intention to showcase this with Vegeta to begin with way back when, you know? But this episode I think was really good, probably one of my favorite episodes in quite some time, and these episodes again are to me getting better and better with each passing week, which again I think is a very good thing considering the overall pacing issues that we had from the beginning, which again a lot of people were saying it was boring and Dragon Ball Daima was kind of boring in the beginning. The overall pacing and the intensity is definitely beginning to pick up now, especially with Goma and Degusu having to look on and noticing two specific different things, which are that of him actually having to see Dr. Arinsu use the Majins to get the dark demonic Super Dragon Balls within her possession, which she did, but at the same time also getting very mad at seeing our heroes who are assisted by Neba also go as far as to do the same thing. He now understands and knows that everyone is basically going to be coming after him, which by the end of the episode he looked really mad about. But I mean, even then, this kind of begs the question on what Goma is possibly going to do once Dr. Arinsu ends up showing up, which I think she will, alongside with the Majins, on top of our heroes as well, because the goal is for them to actually go to Goma's castle. What episode 12 ended up doing was not only going as far as to showcase and give someone else the limelight in showcasing more of Vegeta's battle with Tamagami number 2 alongside Majin Do's battle against Tamagami number 1, to which both Tamagamis had fallen within the same episode as well, which I wasn't expecting to see because I figured that at least Tamagami number 1 was going to last long enough in either having to force maybe the Majins and having to fuse, or kind of go as far as to back up Dr. Arinsu in formulating some kind of a third but yet successful plan, since she kind of failed the first time with Majin Ku. It was all of this to say that I really wasn't expecting to see Majin Buu prevail victorious over Tamagami number 1, but I think the overall episode itself was very telling. Even in the beginning when I expected for Vegeta to destroy that giant Kraken, which I was really hoping would be the case, but instead, surprisingly enough, we saw how the Kraken kind of went as far as to leave Vegeta alone. He went back within the depths, and with the way the Tamagami fight went down with Vegeta, I think was a little better for me, because it was only upon having to see Tamagami number 2 use that trident against Vegeta and to kind of pursue him after getting this massive power amp, I think was really fun to watch, because not only was Tamagami number 2 forcing Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta into a position where he had no other choice but to use Super Saiyan 3, it was only after Vegeta had capitalized on using Super Saiyan 3 against Tamagami number 2 where I really found it to be so much more enjoyable than I thought it would be. But by the end of the episode, Majin Do gets a massive W, Vegeta gets a massive W, which I think was very much well earned, which only now begins to beg the question as to where we're going to be going moving forward throughout all of this, because are they going to now encounter each other before having to get the Goma is the question, and if they do, which I think that Majin Do is going to prove to be very formidable, so I don't even think Super Saiyan 3 is going to work against him. Does this mean that we're essentially going to see a fusion coming up relatively soon? Who knows, but I think that with the way everything has been going so far, I'm really liking the overall pacing and the direction moving forward for Dragon Ball Daima. But even now, by the end of all of this, I want to go in ahead and get your thoughts down in the comment section below about how you guys felt on Dragon Ball Daima anime episode number 12, on top of also letting me know down below as to how you guys would rank Dragon Ball Daima from episodes 1 all the way up until episode 12, from top to bottom in regards to some of your best episodes and your least favorite episodes from episodes 1 to 12, as this will in fact be the final Dragon Ball Daima episode before entering into 2025. There is going to be a break in the beginning of January for January 3rd, which ultimately means that Dragon Ball Daima's next episode, which will be that of episode 13, will resume on January 13th, which is in fact 2 days after my birthday. So who knows as to what we're going to end up getting going into Dragon Ball Daima episode 13, especially with our heroes now having to head off into Demon Realm number 1. I want to go in ahead and get your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below, as again, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Happy New Year, everybody, from my family to yours. I really can't thank you guys enough for your support, for your patience, for your time, and overall simply having to be here with me and having to express and share your love for something that we all happen to enjoy, which is that of Dragon Ball. And let me just be the first to say what a year it was. It's been a roller coaster, at least for me, professionally and personally. But with that being said, we have a new year to look forward to, so thank you all so much for being here. As always, if you also just so happen to enjoy, then be sure to give this video a big fat thumbs up right now by smashing that like button down below, as well as also making sure to go on over and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications if of course you guys are new to the channel. The Dragon Ball Super manga is going to be returning in 2025 as well, beginning in February with a one-shot special, so there's going to be so much to look forward to in the year of 2025. So again, thank you all so much for watching, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a wonderful, safe, and happy New Year's coming up ahead, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, everybody, and have a great day. Peace.
Hello! Did you know that you can stay up to date with the latest Dragon Ball content by simply subscribing to UnrealEntGaming?
Also, don't forget to follow on these social media platforms, you sexy son of a bitch.
Roshi!
Silent Cell, me and the fans are having a moment. That's right. I know what you want. Extra long, thick Dragon Ball content. Quality reviews with flawless editing. Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you? You dirty bitch.
Roshi, the fuck?
God damn it, I need them to subscribe, Cell.
And we're demonetized.
Yeah, screw it. Let's cut to the video.